Welcome back. Recently, Dev and I sat down with Eric Saiet, who played the memorable Dalton, the bookish vampire who helped Drusilla and Spike gather everything required to assemble the judge. Once assembled, the judge has a burning desire. He. Yes, Drew.
We are here with Eric Saiet, actor, writer, and educator.
Thank you so much for doing this.
No problem. Hi, how have you been?
Oh my gosh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm good.
Eric has worked on some truly iconic films and TV shows, from Ferris Bueller's Day Off to Law & Order and The Good Wife. But you probably know him best from his incredible work as Dalton on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 2. Eric, where were you born?
I was born in Bloomington, Indiana. My parents were both getting their doctorates there. And then we moved to Evanston, Illinois, which is the first suburb north of Chicago. And that's where I grew up.
What was it like growing up there?
It was great. It had the proximity to the city, so I could go see the Cubs games and all that fun stuff with my father, and the culture and the theater. And then with the town itself, it was about 75,000 people, I think. And it was a great place to grow up. It was the 70s and 80s. So it was a key around my neck and running around outside with my friends, and came home possibly around dinner. And it was a pretty free life.
Hey, Drew. Want to be in the wine business and own a piece of a vineyard? Vampire Vineyards? Well, actually, yes. They have been in the vampire wine business for over 30 years, and now Vampire.com is expanding and accepting investments from the public, so everyone can become an owner of Vampire Vineyards. Among their many awards and medals, in 2026, Vampire's Pinot Noir has received not just a gold medal, but it was named Best of Class by the Los Angeles Times Invitational Wine and Spirits Challenge. I've sipped the blood of the vine, and it's absolutely to die for. Also, who can say no to the Dracula's Red Blend? A commanding blend of bold red varietals with dark spice and a velvety finish, smooth enough to keep you lingering in the shadows. Shh. Someone's whisper. Psst, 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 psst. But this one whispers my name, Drusilla. You'll be happy to hear many of their bottles come clothed in cute little velvet and silk vampire capes, and some even rest in peace in a fantastic coffin-shaped box. Step into the cellar at Vampire.com to discover the full collection of vampire wines, spirits, and other dark delights. I do look rather fetching in a cape. Tell me more, simple minion. Not a minion. But for our listeners, I will tell more. The investment offering is open till April 30th. For more details, go to wefunder.com/vampirespirits to read all about the opportunity. Well, you know what I say? What? This is nothing to whine about. Hee.
How did you get the acting bug?
I got it when I was 9 years old. Until then, I'd pretty much thought I was going to be a hybrid of an athlete and a veterinarian. But then that turned into acting when my sister invited me along to an audition with her, and just getting any attention from my older sister at all was really exciting. And I ended up getting the male lead of the play, and it was something I was good at and felt like I was getting that attention from everybody. And I just kind of locked in from there. Been living my life ever since on a 9-year-old's decision. But
What was the play?
it was Once Upon a Mattress. It was a community theater musical, and I was the Prince Dalton.
Wow. Where did you study acting?
I studied at Northwestern University, and as a kid, I became a professional actor when I was 13. And prior to that, I was doing a lot of community theater, and then studying with the Piven Theater Workshop. It was really impactful on my life, and I really learned about improvisation and viola spolin and all those great games, and it really sort of locked me in. I think it's kind of the most important tool I've ever acquired in my life. It was during those teen years doing Piven Theater Workshop. And I teach now, and I use a lot of that stuff in my work.
One of your first credits is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. How did that happen?
So I was doing theater in Chicago. Somehow my parents let me be in professional plays in Chicago as a young kid. And then I was doing a play in the basement of a church. It was called Pegasus Theater Company. And we were doing Shadowbox. And I played the boy in Shadowbox with all these adults. And a wonderful casting director named Jane Alderman, who is kind of a legend in Chicago, she came and saw the play and quote unquote discovered me. And I immediately got an agent and had 2 auditions. One was for Lucas and one was for One More Saturday Night, this Dan Aykroyd produced film. And I made it all the way to the end for leads in both of them, the role of Lucas and then the role of Doug in One More Saturday Night. And my agents were sure that One More Saturday Night was the way to go and moved on and did that movie. So I had like a lead in a movie for my first part. And then I met John Hughes kind of during that process. And actually, I was auditioning early on before they had brought in Matthew Broderick and everybody. So they were originally thinking about kind of doing it real teenagers. And I had a lot of auditions for the role of Cameron, actually. So that's how I met John and spent a lot of time with him. And he told me when he went up in age and he was like, I just want you in the movie. You're just going to be around the set. He's really nice about that. And he just had me on set on Ferris Bueller for 3 weeks, I think. I was just there and he would be like, jump in here. All right, say this or go over here. And so I was in a lot of those scenes. I ended up, I think, in 2 little scenes, very little part. But it was a lot of fun.
Was it hard to learn film acting or was it pretty natural for you?
I think it was pretty natural because when you're a kid, everything's kind of natural. You're not in your way as much. So I just adapted to whatever environment I was in. I was doing a lot of commercials and it was just sort of part of my life from such an early age. I think it was pretty natural.
You did all these incredible movies. I mean, you're in Groundhog Day.
Those are all just living in the Chicago area and auditioning for everything and anything. And yeah, Groundhog Day was a lot of fun too. I got to meet Brian Doyle Murray's son and hang out on that set as well and ended up in very little of that. But it was fun being on the set for a while on that as well. And Harold Ramis was really cool. It was just part of my life. I would do shows downtown. I would do school and then I would sometimes shoot a movie. I missed a lot of my freshman year of high school shooting a movie. And I was able to do that because they already sort of worked something out with John Cusack, who also went to my high school. So they were used to having, he's older than me, but he had been missing a lot of school for his acting. And so they worked out like a tutor thing. So he sort of paved the way for that. So it's sort of in the water in Evanston. Anyway, I think people were pretty used to kids being in movies and stuff, TV shows.
What was the movie you missed your freshman year for?
That was the One More Saturday Night. Al Franken wrote it. They starred in it too.
Did your career become harder when you became more aware of the business? Because it sounds like it was very natural and very fluid for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was occasionally high stakes. I was flown out to California for some tests and stuff, and I never took it seriously professionally, even though I was professional, in the sense that I had a lot of other things I was interested in too. So I remember once I was flown out to LA for this screen test for a movie. I'm trying to remember what it was called now. Like a counselor that brings 4 or 5 kids on a camping trip and then turns out to be a psychopath. So at the screen test, it was me, Corey Feldman, Corey Haim, and Sean Astin. It was the 4 of us.
Wow.
And I just didn't take it seriously. I had my own hotel room. My mom was in an adjacent hotel. And I was just like, this is so cool. I found a kitten in the area and put it in the bath. And then I showed up to the screen test and they were all memorized. And I was holding my script and had barely looked at it. They were such professionals already. So that was interesting.
Did you ever have any other jobs? Were you always just an actor?
I was always just acting. I went to Northwestern University, which was in Evanston, and my acting helped pay for that, which was really great. And then after that, I was doing some theater in Chicago professionally. Did like 6 Degrees of Separation when it first came off of Broadway with Marlo Thomas, and that was fun, and other shows in Chicago. And then I just borrowed my dad's car and went out to LA and kind of made a living as an actor. It was kind of like a plumber. I was just a guest star in lots of different things. And back then you could work 5 or 6 times a year and make a living.
Was it scary to come to LA or was it just...
No, it was so exciting. I was so excited. I was so ready to go. I was convinced I was the next Sean Penn or something. I was just ready to go get it and felt really excited and felt that it was destined. I was just going to become a huge movie star. And as you can see, that totally worked out exactly how I pictured.
You have an extraordinary resume. I mean, you've worked on basically every iconic show for the period you were here.
I have to say, you were so fantastic to work with on Buffy. I love all the detail that you brought to Dalton, and it was just such a joy working with you and revisiting this, doing the podcast and watching your work again. It's just really, really beautiful work.
You guys were a lot of fun. I remember you two being really welcoming and cool and just really down to earth. It helped that I hadn't seen the show ever. So I was just sort of like, it's just another show. Joss had told me I was going to be recurring for years as like Spike and Drusilla's guy
The
who.
watcher. He would be our watcher with the books and everything that you were. That would have been amazing.
So I remember I got in a car accident on the way to audition.
Oh,
And then I got there and I auditioned, and then Joss, it was mainly a conversation, actually. Remember that little office he had? It was weird. It was like a weird studio, right? So I remember getting there and Joss was like, we talked for a bit, and that's what he called me, the Anti-Giles. So he's like, you're my Anti-Giles. And he was talking about like everything, and we negotiated what my rate would be and how long I'd be on the show. And I remember I only did a couple episodes. One of them was like 2-part. And I just remembered loving being with you guys and feeling like, oh, this will be a fun home for a while. And then going to my pink pages came with one of the scripts and it said I exploded. And I was like, that's probably not good. I don't think you can come back from exploding. So when I got back to the set, I asked Joss about it. He's like, yeah, sorry. I have to kill off. I can't tell anyone when they're going to die because I don't want you to play that ending. And I just have to create characters that people can get to know for a little bit and kill them because I can't really kill off my main characters. And I was like, okay, cool. It was such a bummer.
oh my gosh. I remember getting the script too and being, no, I don't want Dalton to go yet. Because it just felt like we had an incredible rapport.
I agree. It was a lot of fun.
When you're a working actor and you come in, you do Murphy Brown, you do Lois and Clark, you do a Third Rock from, you do everything. What is that experience like as an actor?
When you guest star, it's sort of like being invited to a party by one person and everyone else knows each other, but you've been invited. And so then you're like, okay, I got to step up so I can be invited to this party again. And you try really hard to become the life of the party. And by the end, hopefully everyone's chanting your name and then you just have to go to a new party.
During that period, how much were you auditioning? Because there's so many credits.
I had a pretty high hit rate for a while. I remember I was doing NYPD Blue and The Practice. I was guest starring on both those at the same time, and I had a car go back and forth. I just auditioned enough. And as everyone knows, it's just when you're an actor, you're paint. You want to be the most beautiful, pigmented, complex version of that paint, but other people have to pick you up and use you. And not everyone's going to want your color, and that's okay. It's very subjective. And then once you start working more, you get to know directors. People want to work with you again. Also, when you're working, people really like it. Work begets work. It was fun. It was a very simple life for me. And then when I decided not to pursue that as much anymore, I had started to become a working writer, writing movies and stuff. It fit a lot better with my lifestyle of being a father. When I had my son, I just kind of made a choice to write instead. It was the right choice because I got to spend a lot more time with my kids.
So you get to set, you come on set, you haven't met the cast. Do they do table reads a lot of the time? Do you go to table read?
It depends. You would do table reads on sitcoms, but you didn't really do them on dramatic series. You often would come in just for a couple days. Sometimes the shoot was 10 days on those shows, and you'd come in for like 4 or 5 of those days, maybe. I don't recall being involved in a lot of table reads. For sitcoms, you always were. You would sit around the table because they want to hear how it lands and the jokes and all that stuff. I did table reads for movies, but I don't remember doing them for shows.
Did you go in specifically for Dalton, or did you go in on a general meeting?
I went in specifically for Dalton.
Now, Dalton's very stylish.
The thing I remember most about the physicality of it was how long I had to sit in that chair getting my makeup on every day. That was like shocking. I couldn't believe they had to do that for everybody. Going and getting your face cast and then them putting on this makeup for hours. And they were so sweet in there. They were lovely people. And just how long you would spend getting the makeup on. And they did put a lot of thought into the undead.
I mean, it is interesting that he called it the Anti-Giles because he does feel like he should be there. Dalton's never out of vamp face, right? We never see you as you. You're always in vamp face.
Yes, totally.
Did they explain to you why he was always in vamp face?
I feel like looking back, I was primarily a narrative device to help get that whole story out about the judge. I think it was just all to sort of help facilitate getting those scrolls or whatever that was and breaking into the things and jumping off the pier and the fights and all that stuff was just to serve the story of meeting this judge. And as often is the case when you're a guest starring is you're a narrative device to help push a story along.
Hey Drew, what are you reading? A book sent to me by Lincoln James. It's called The Ninth Layer. It is so much fun. That's mine. You stole it. I've been dying to read it. He told me the 9th layer is about Alex, who joins a small research group on what should be a controlled, supervised geology expedition. But as the team ventures deeper underground, the cave begins to change. The air hums, the walls glow faintly, passageways shift. The exit disappears. Cut off from the surface and from one another, fear fractures the group. Paranoia sets in, and something in the darkness seems to be watching, waiting. As friendships erode and survival instincts take over, Alex is forced to confront a terrifying truth. Some places are not meant to be explored, and some depths don't let you return unchanged. A claustrophobic horror thriller about obsession, isolation, and the cost of digging too deep. I love these feel-good stories. Paranoia, horror, and the psychological toll of fear? Feel good? The 9th layer is available on Amazon or on the Lincoln James website. For our friends in Europe, you can get the books at all major resellers. We'll also feature Lincoln's book called Written Just for You in our book club on April 18th. Reach out to Watcher Dev on the Patreon chat page with any questions. Now, run along. You're distracting me from reading my book.
The hours were long on Buffy, right? They were long.
Yep. Yeah. Well, because it was night shoots.
And then the makeup as well. Like you were probably
forever.
getting it hours before everyone else was.
Yeah. Oh, and the teeth. I remember the teeth. Everything was so professionally done, obviously. But like the fact that they would make these teeth for you that fit your mouth and they would stay in, and getting used to talking with fangs, and it was very interesting.
I know that Juliet and James would talk a lot about how it's very hard sometimes to be intimidating when
You're listening?
really lispy. And
Yeah.
did you ever ADR any of your stuff?
Well, luckily, I don't think I had to loop anything, but I do think that my particular character was kind of nerdy and it was fine. He was actually like the anti-intimidating vampire. He was the vampire that you'd be the least afraid of in the whole world.
Did they tell you a backstory for Dalton, or did you write your own backstory?
I think my experience at that point as an actor was really about being improvisational and being really present and taking everything from other people, sort of reacting to how they are talking to me and interacting with me, sort of told me everything I needed to know about who I was. And I think other than that, I just took the slaps and the punches. And
If you said he was anti-intimidating, he wasn't an intense character. What did you see as the essence of him for you?
he just loved books. He realized if he wasn't going to blow up, he was going to live long enough to read as many books as he wanted to. And that was great. That was good enough reason to be a vampire. And he really wanted Spike and Drusilla to like him and not hit him. Kind of sycophancy.
Did they kind of help you to understand the world a little bit as you came into it?
I'm sure if it was necessary, they did. But what I really liked about them is that they both seemed to really enjoy playing their parts. They really ate it up. I want to say they kind of stayed in character a lot when we were shooting, especially Juliet. But otherwise, they were just really nice people, genuine people. I think we had friends in common and stuff like that. So it's just a cool ride.
How did they film that death scene? Because it's kind of an amazing moment. I'm so shocked.
Like I said, it was a huge bummer. I was really bummed out because I just knew you don't come back from exploding. It's pretty hard to put those pieces back together. They came in as pink pages. When you're shooting a TV series, you get the first script, the first draft that comes through, and the shooting script. But then as they shoot, they do rewrites. And first round is blue, I think. And then they're different colors, yellow. And the pink pages are usually like the last pages, as I recall. I don't know if they still do it this way. And so the pink pages were the latest rewrites. And so you just jump right to the pink pages, right? And I just jumped to the pink pages and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a pretty big, I blow up, I explode. This isn't great. Call the agent, bemoan it, and then just go and be a good soldier and blow up the best I could.
Why do you think a show like Buffy has this enduring legacy? As James always says, it's like being on Star Trek, the original series. It's something that people really are obsessed with.
First of all, vampires have always captured our imagination, right? And I think it tapped into the zeitgeist of what it's like to be a teenager and what it's like to be different. And Joss had a real talent for dialogue and being small and intimate at that time. So I think a combination of those things and just good actors and iconic characters.
So when you got cast, you hadn't seen the show, but when you got cast, did you watch the show to catch up to the mythology, to understand the world?
Well, it was harder, right? You couldn't just pop on YouTube or Netflix, right? That wasn't going on yet. So I definitely seen some of it by then, but I wasn't watching the show. Every now and then I'll get like a weird thing in the mail from somebody who wants to have something signed from Dalton for some unknown reason. I remember I got a playing card sent to me with my face on it. I don't know what this is from, but that was pretty funny.
You haven't done a lot of conventions.
I've never done a convention.
Wow. Because, the whole thing is to have everything, to have everybody.
I've never been asked. I've never been to one. I don't know where they are. Are they still doing them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know that David Greenwald always talks about how you can discuss things in metaphors that are really unpalatable to people or feel preachy. I mean, what is the metaphor of Buffy? High school is hell.
High school is hell, and vampire has always been this pseudo-sexual thing too, right?
You come off of Buffy and then you still on this amazing run. I mean, you do NYPD Blue, you do Scrubs, you do Law and Order. You play 2 characters on Law and Order. How did that happen?
Because the guest stars on those shows are often serving a story. And so if you're going to serve the story again, they'll put a wig on you, or they run for so long that they will do that sometimes. I know a lot of friends that have done it many times. It's funny. It's kind of like a repertory company, right? They have the New York actors and they throw them in. And when I moved to New York, I was really sort of wrapping up my full-time acting career. There was a lot less work. And I didn't love doing commercials, even though that was how I was making my money in New York. And I did a lot of voiceovers. Getting around New York for auditions all over town is a lot different than driving in your car and listening to music. You're like humping it on trains, walking up and down and all around. And so when I had my first kid, I strapped him onto my chest in a baby Bjorn, and I would take him to my auditions. And I'd give them to someone I knew in the waiting room, and I'd go in and I'd come back out. And it just felt ridiculous after a while. Like I said, I was making a living as a writer at that point. I had a movie I was writing for Disney, and I was writing a movie for Amazon. I was just so busy anyway that I just thought, like, why don't I lock in? And instead of traipsing around the city with my son attached to my chest, I could just go to a coffee shop and write with him attached to my chest. And that was kind of a more lovely life.
Were you always a writer?
I always wrote, but I wasn't always a professional writer. I was a fiction writer. I was in a writing group with Terry Garr and Ed Solomon.
Oh my God.
We had this great teacher. We write instant fiction and share our stories and that sort of thing. And then this wonderful producer named Lizzie Doran, who was Emma Thompson's producer. So all of her great movies. And she was in our writing group, and she encouraged me to write movies. She sort of mentored me for a little while, and I would go in and pitch her ideas, and then she would read anything I wrote, and she was really lovely getting me started. And then I finally sold a movie on a pitch to Disney. And also I was writing a lot of animated educational shows. So like Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Super Y, I wrote a bunch of those, the educational kids show kind of world, which was fun. It was great. And I didn't have kids yet. Now I would probably do things even more differently. But
what was the moment like when you first sold your first script? Was it really exciting?
It was so exciting because it's hard to do, quite honestly. It's very hard to sell a pitch, just to write a movie, to get it bought. It's even harder to get them made. I've been hired to write 10 movies. And I've not had a single movie get made, but I was able to make a living the whole time, right? I wrote a movie for Disney. I wrote a movie for Fox. I wrote a movie for Amazon. It's bizarre. People, they buy these things and then you work on them for a year with the studio and then they go in a drawer and it's over. And that's why it's so wonderful to teach now. It's a lot more instant gratification.
How did the teaching become a thing?
Well, I've always taught, and a lot of it was volunteer. I worked with kids in LA with this screenwriting. What was it called? I never thought I'd become of the age where I'm like, now what was that called again? But what was the name of our group? I think it still exists. But we would go into schools and we would mentor one-on-one kids to write a short screenplay, like 5 to 8 pages or something like that. And then we would do a stage reading with celebrities would come in and read their script for them in front of their family and friends. And it was really wonderful. And then I also volunteered through the Screen Actors Guild doing pencil pals, where we would have a pen pal and we'd go in and read to them. Book pals. It was called book pals. And we'd read to them. And so I was just always teaching. Both my parents were teachers. So it was always in my life. And then when I moved to New York, at that time, I had a writing partner and we started a business called Pencil Heads, where we did improvisation games and flash fiction writing as a kind of a interesting combination, and did that for a while. And so then when we were having my daughter, my wife and I moved to Beacon because she couldn't picture having another child in the city. That was the deal. And so we moved out here, and then I started teaching improvisation theater more earnestly. And ultimately, 5 years ago, I ended up at a private school out here where every kid, K through 8th, has to come take theater from me and improvisation. And I also am the fine arts teacher there as well. So you get to see these kids grow up and see how important standing up in front of people and being present can be in your life. And it's been really wonderful.
Has this been one of the greatest joys of your life?
It has. It's definitely felt like the most resolved chord of anything I've played around with in my life, because like I said, when you're an actor, you're paint or a good soldier, you're waiting around for someone to let you do what you do for money. You can work for free for sure, but if you want to make a living, you have to be always ready and always available and waiting a lot, especially back then when it wasn't as easy to sort of share what you can do via YouTube or other social media platforms. And I found that to be a little unsatisfying ultimately as a full-time existence. And I found the writing to be really fulfilling in its own way, but then at the same time, there's this unresolved chord to it. Have you read any of my screenplays? No, right? They're just in the ether, and they all existed, and they're all very real, and I put a lot of time and thought into them, and that's okay, but you don't have that sort of call and response that you get when you're teaching, and you get to see a kid grow, you get to see a kid overcome insecurity and stand up and shine in front of people and see what that does for their confidence and what that does for them in other aspects of their lives. It's really, really wonderful.
Do you do a final production with them? Do they do production?
I do. Yeah. It's all kid driven. So they write and star in their own stuff, and they do improv games. It's kind of a hybrid end of year share. It's a lot of fun. I also direct a show there. Another teacher at the school wrote a wonderful version of Peter Pan, and we just put that up. It was wonderful. It was really, really neat.
The problems are the same, aren't they, right? That's why teenage stories always work.
Yeah.
But are they magnified in the modern world because of social media?
Social media is definitely a problem. I think that even group chats are a problem. I think we behave differently when we're not face to face. And I think group mentality can really overcome kids easily when they're in any sort of social media or group mentality. This world where kids are putting themselves out there to be judged by the world at a young age is a really hard thing. I don't think it's good. I think that it's remarkable and it's amazing that we can share our creativity with each other. But I think that we will look back on this time as a troubling time, that we sort of put this last generation of kids as a kind of guinea pigs through it. I think it's going to be rough eventually.
Do you still write?
I do still write, yes. And I have an animated show that I created with Global Citizen, which is the world's biggest anti-poverty organization in the world. They raise the most money for that. And I have been creating an animated show that sort of highlights their work, but in a creative, fun way.
But also, in just talking to you, I almost feel like you should be a novelist as well. Have you ever thought of doing a novel?
I have written a novel. I was a ghostwriter for a novel for Simon & Schuster. There's still a non-disclosure agreement, but I was hired with 3 other writers to create a book series. They wanted to sort of do it almost like a writer's room version of writing. And I think what we discovered was that novels probably should have one voice, and it comes from a very different place. I have a lot of confidence that I'll be busy creatively writing and acting again. It's just, I really am focused on my kids right now. I have a 8-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I just think that it's the most important thing to be part of their lives right now. And anything that takes me away from it doesn't feel worth it right now.
I can tell that being a father is really crucial to you. Was that always going to be the way it was going to be?
I mean, it took a while to do it, but I always thought I would. But I think part of the reason why I am so happy being a father is that I did wait until I was almost 40 to have a kid, because I was really paying attention to myself. I was doing the things I wanted to do. I was acting, I was writing, I was living a very exciting life. So by the time I was ready to have kids, I was really ready, and I was really ready to invest. And they're great. They're awesome. They're here right now. They're in the other room watching TV because they don't have school today, and I'm on a Zoom call.
Will you show them Buffy at some point? Will you show them your work in Buffy?
Yeah, they both like acting. My son, he's a lot like me, plays sports, and he's in these plays and he loves both. And my daughter dances and does plays, and they've kind of grown up in an improvisational household. So it's great. Now, you want to talk about joy. It's watching your kid in a show. That is amazing. Oh my God, it's the best. It's the best.
Hey Drew, this bar is so cool, and I love your tiki-inspired outfit. I do like to blend in when I'm on a secret mission. Here, take these and put them in your bag. What? No! Wait, are these gems? These pieces are amazing. Ooh, I love this creature from the Black Lagoon handcrafted ceramic mug. Oh, and this King Kong watering spike is super cool. Oh my gosh, I also love this American Werewolf in London mug. The work is so detailed. As you know, these come from More Monsters. Jim Moore sent an email taunting me with these lovely, handmade, one-of-a-kind items. I must have them. Drew, that was my email. I've asked you 1,000,000 times not to read my emails. We don't need to steal these. Jim is advertising his Etsy page, More Monsters, on our podcast. Re-Vamped get a special 20% discount. The code is MONSTERMUG, all caps, all one word.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could I see your bag?
Well, you see my friend here, Scooby-Drew. Scooby-Drew? Drusilla, where are you?
Follow me, ma'am.
But wait, it's my friend. She's obsessed with Jim Moore's work. She didn't realize it's for sale, but saw that you had it in your bar, and I explained everything to her.
Your friend?
Well, she thinks I'm her minion, but she seems to have disappeared.
Right.
Really? This has nothing to do with me.
Tell it to the judge.
Go to More Monsters Etsy page, MOORE, and use the Re-Vamped special 20% discount code, MONSTERMUG.
Let's get ready to Buffy!
Vengeance Val was the victor in our first inaugural Battle of the Uber Buffy fans. If you would like to challenge her title and be considered as a contender for this season's battle, please email revampedpod@gmail.com. Yes, be sure to include your name, where you weigh in with your number of watch-throughs, where you're located, something interesting about you, or something you think would be good to share,
and your social media handles.
Yes, woohoo. Woohoo. Boop boop be Drew. Re-Vamped, please correspond with me on our Patreon page, Re-Vamped with Juliet Landau, on Twitter, @Juliet Landau, on Instagram, @Juliet_Landau, and on the Fans of Juliet Landau Facebook group, or Juliet Landau official Facebook page. Patreon peeps to be read in the credits: Dave Hall, Fonnie June Kendall, Daniel Harbour, Louise Brennan, Brandon Key, Cameron Burton, Donnie Ruskin, Madeline Pruitt, Marion Stevenson, Antonio H. Gutierrez, and Bobby Pelham. It makes all the difference because we cannot keep making the show without you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Until we meet again.
See you next time when we do it again. Do it again. Until then, rewatch, revamp, reinvent, and be remarkable you.